So it's Friday, and we have a game coming up. A little over 48 hours. It's on Sunday at 2 p.m. It's out in a city called Almere here in the Netherlands. It's in the province called Flevoland. There's a lot more to know that's actually fun to know about that area, but I'm not really going to get into that one because that's kind of geology and geography nerd stuff. I should probably explain that sometime in a different video. Anyways, so back to stuff. As you can see over here, I was watching film. I recorded myself straight, like just watching huddle film. And as you can see, I'm marking it up because, as Willie says, it doesn't matter unless you push it to the rest of the team, as a coach has, like Willie did with Southridge. Nobody else sees what stuff you mark. You could literally go on every play and write down, kill number 4, and nobody else would see it. You know what I mean? And it could just be their quarterback because you're the defensive end and you just like, your thought process is kill number 4. And so that's that. As I'm doing with this pass through, is I'm looking at formation. So as I've seen this team, they run a 21 personnel, which for those that are new and may not know, the first number is your number of backs. Your second number is your number of tight ends. So if you have 2 on one side, 2 on the other, and a tight end, you technically have a 0-1. But most people just say 5 wide. Kind of pointless. But if you have like 1 back and 1 tight end, it's an 11 formation. If you have 1 back, 2 tight ends, it's a 12. Very odd, but a lot more pass protection at that point. Anyways, so this team runs a lot of 21 personnel, and their tight end is opposite their 2 receivers. They do have other formations, as I've seen from watching film, but they tend to like having one side of the field completely wide open, and it almost doesn't depend on whether they're in the center of the hat or the hash. Anyways, things to watch out for when watching film. Like I said, I'm watching this pass through with formation, and if that designates where the run was intended. Because usually if the run's intended to go outside, the running back will maybe go out there, but in case like the safety or the defensive end gets a little bit ahead of time, he will skirt back. But he'll start out going a direction, you know, because he's got that little like Wi-Fi symbol kind of away from the quarterback, from his starting position. Is he going to go outside? Is he going to go through the line? Or is he going to go across the formation out the other side? Assuming he's not standing behind the quarterback in an I form. So that's that. I'm checking that one. I've only been through like 12 plays. There are about 30 more for offense, so I don't have a good dipstick yet. For those of you that don't know, a dipstick is like a measuring device for your oil. So I don't have a good idea about what it is. Once about 3/4 of the plays are done, then I can start rounding things up and, you know, obviously finish the rest of the plays. But when you're looking at 1/4 of the plays, no. Especially in the first half where they're trying things against the team. And then another thing I'm looking for is if they have, especially on this one, since I'm going through, is since they like the one formation a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're moving towards a pass or run in that case. Having 2 backs for some teams means they are going to try to go more for a run. Or they bring in 2 backs because they're having a lot of problem with people getting off the line, the D line getting through, so they need people to kind of interrupt so he has a little bit more time back there to throw. Could just be anything, and that's another thing to watch film for. Do they bring the back, you know, this one, obviously that's just their base formation. 2 out to the side, tight end, 2 backs. Nothing really wrong with that. And so now my question is, and I'm just checking, do they run more towards the open side of the field? Or do they run towards the receivers? Seems to be pretty hit or miss on that one. Or 50-50. Yeah. Another tip and trick to get to watching film is, especially when like this run through, or my next run through, I'm going to be watching the line a lot. It's hard to see with some plays if if the line is leaning forward on their hand or if they're sitting back on their heels. Especially with sometimes the angle. Anyways, if you have really good film, like good HD quality, and maybe your coach can help you with that one, but you go off to the side. Sometimes you can tell by the angle of their back. Like if the offensive line, for instance, is sitting like this, that could be a pass, versus if they're like this, it could be a run, because that means they're just leaning that much more forward. Those are things to look for. I'm not saying this team does that, or that all teams do that. But if you notice, hey, look, all the backs of the offensive linemen, except for the center, kind of has to hike the ball, but all the rest of them seem a little bit more flat, and oh, look, it's a run. That could just be one of those things where you put a little marker on the thing, and just like on the line, put a little horizontal slash, and then say, oh, look, they're all flat. And then notice it's a run. And so when you see then put a diagonal slash with a P. And if that seems to come up, like if you're getting like, a lot, then it's just inconsistencies in the line. Or just inconsistencies with the quarterback. I mean, you're going to have, an RPO where the line shows that they're going to be setting up for a pass, but then actually run forward. Good line coaches know how to work on that one. And then finally, a pass through for like almost all defense, maybe not so much the line, but defensive backs and outside linebackers mostly look at receivers. Most teams, obviously they have their starters, just like your team does. So find a receiver, find his number, find him every single play, no matter where he's at, whether he's a wide out, whether he's on the right, on the left, if he's slot, doesn't matter where he's at. Watch him. Figure it out. What does he do? An example I saw a couple years ago was if the receiver was sort of standing and like leaned over, then he wasn't engaged. He wasn't prepped and ready to go. So he kind of would jog forward, or he'd run up and block. Whereas if he was actually crouched down, even slightly, if he crouched down just a little bit, he was going to go for a pass. So that's something you can notice. But don't try to notice that of all the receivers. You get too much overloaded. Just watch one receiver, and he might be the key receiver. But don't assume that the first one you pick is going to be the key receiver. Later, if you continue watching film, especially if you notice if the film does show you the mess up plays where there's flags thrown, is especially on like their offense, is their guard twitchy? Like if you go up and you pepper in for a blitz, does he jerk? Because the defense can move as long as you don't encroach. So if you go up and you patter really fast, does the guard flinch during the cadence? 5 yards back. It's not a tackle for a loss, but they still lost yardage. And that's like, don't look for that right away, but maybe go through and figure it out. It's also something to figure out in the game. But that's that. If you have any questions, or if you want me to go over other tips and tricks that I do, this is just a short little video. I'd be more than happy to. Stay tuned for Sunday's game. That will be up, edit that Monday morning, so that will be up Monday afternoon for Europe, and Monday morning for the States. So there'll be like 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So like 10 East Coast. Sorry, like Fufu, you'll be in school, I know. But you'll be there when you're done. I'll catch you guys later.